Morning. It's May the 27th, and I just wanted to do a little garden walk around this morning. Update on the everything growing. Here's our sweet potatoes. I did have to go back and put the strings all the way up. They was hanging over the edges of these trellis pieces of wood on the trellis, and one of them almost snapped in two. So I just ran the string up, and now they're all growing right on up these strings. I ran the strings all the way up to the top. So wouldn't have to keep fooling with them, because once they get full of green, it's going to be hard to get in there. Here's our lettuces we started in February in these little pots, and they're starting to go to seed. You can see that, but this is called long standing for a reason. We're still eating off of it, and I brought them around here out of the full sun and try to get it to go a little longer. Here's a little iceberg lettuce in the pot. We've been eating off of it. And over here is our strawberry runners. I planted these strawberry runners off of our main plants. We're getting ready to change out varieties and go with something different. We've had them about 5 years, and we're going to do something different. Here's our butternut squash, and I put this string up kind of like we did the sweet potatoes over here, and it's growing right up there, getting ready to get right up on this trellis. We'll go through the gate here. Here's our Sarpo mirrors. These are starting to come out really nice. They're doing really good. Here's the Yukon Gold. They're getting as tall as the fence now. These things, I've had to put 2 rows of twine on there, kind of like a Florida weave, and you can see how nice these plants are. This is the first time we planted potatoes over here, and they are just doing great. I've had to spray them with the fungicide. We had a little blight take over, but I think for the most part they're doing pretty good. I've been picking the lower leaves off of it, the yellowing and the blighty leaves off of it, and they're doing good. So with any luck, we'll get some good potato harvest out of that. Here's our onions. This is our back row. Here's the Patterson onions, and the front row are the Elsa Craigs. And that box right there is full of Pattersons. And here's our iceberg lettuce. We've had some really hot temperatures and scorching sun. I may have to put a shade cloth over these guys, but they're still doing good. Had a little bit of scorching on the edges there, and you can see that right there, changing color a little bit, but that was after we had that couple of days of 88s, and we haven't had really any rain. We're way under on the rainfall, so I've been watering everything, trying to stay on top of that. Here's our blueberries. They're starting to come out really nice. We're getting some new growth finally on these guys, so that's nice to see. And then here's our Yukon Golds in this container we planted. They're doing pretty good. Here's our Sweet Success cucumbers, and we got flowers on there and cucumbers starting. These spots on the leaf, that's not powdery mildew. I had to spray these with fungicide too. When I sprayed the potatoes, I went ahead and sprayed these guys to get a jump on any of that if we have the rains come in and start getting some powdery mildew. But there you go. There's some cucumbers forming there, doing really nice, and I'm training them, growing them in and out of these trellises we put up. And these guys are doing great. These are those megaton cabbages. Let me back up a little bit and see if I can get you. And I think I'm going to have to raise my PVC pipe and get another piece of this bug fabric, because they're just, see if I can get it to pick up. I know it's trying to focus on the fabric and not the plant, but they're just going crazy. And here's another one we have in here. It's kind of hard to see with the fabric, and the sun's not coming up. You can see it's starting to come up, but there's our blackberries. They're starting to flower. I got those trellised up, got the canes up. We got a lot of new canes coming out. We got flowers coming on the blackberries, so they ought to do pretty good. We planted our little ginger plants in here between them to get them some shade, and the gingers are coming up really nice. You can see that. First year we planted these gingers here. Another one. And here we have a little volunteer potato coming up. So I had to put this wire around it because the squirrels keep digging up my ground looking for the acorns and walnuts they planted. And here's our fire ring, our old used up fire ring that wasn't any good anymore, that we've got our onions growing in, and they're doing pretty nice. And even the potatoes that all died out in these buckets, they're starting to come back. This is a, what is this? Baby Dutch. Here's the ones that burnt completely back down with the frost to the ground. And now they're starting to come back out, doing really nice. Here's our beets. Starting to see a little yellowing down there on the bottom leaves. So we're going to have to get in here with a little fertilizer, and we'll fertilize these guys up, and maybe they'll take back off. There's our the other row of blackberries. We lost most of the canes through the winter, but we're getting a few flowers come out on them. So we'll get a few blackberries off of these this year. Not going to get as many as we did last year, but that's okay. We got new canes, and we'll have maybe a better year next year. Here's another little cucumber plant that we've got training it up to the little twin bed frame trellis we got here. So it's doing pretty good. We'll come around here. There's my little mulch pile, my water barrels. Here's our winter wheat. It's still doing pretty good. Won't be long we'll be harvesting this. Here's our beets that's been going for several years. And now they finally went to seed. That's why we've kept them going for so long, to try to get some Cendrilla beet seeds out of these guys. And you can see, if it'll focus, it may not focus. Anyway, there's a cluster of seed heads right there. And our Kentucky blue pole beans, they're starting to come up. And right here we have our other batch of Yukon Gold potatoes. And I've laid some screens back behind them, some old window screens. I usually lay that on the ground around my plants to keep the squirrels from digging up in my boxes, but I laid them back there to keep the plants from falling down over on the ground. And here's our giant Marconis. They're finally starting to grow a little bit for us. We've got 2 boxes of these guys. I've got them in the playlist of how we planted them. And here's our, this is a Halcinator tomato. We're getting some blooms on this guy. It's doing pretty good. And right there's our other trellis of sweet potatoes. They're doing pretty good, growing up this cattle panel fence. And here's our red snapper tomatoes from Halls Tools. They're starting to come out of their funk. I planted them in this box where we had potatoes, and the pH was way low. I didn't check it. I should have. I finally went and got me another meter and tested it, and we had to add some more lime in here. Actually, I mixed up a tablespoon of lime to a quart of water, and I poured it on every down at the base of every plant, and they're starting to come back out of their funk. We've raised a pH now in the soil, finally getting it up where they can do something. That was my mistake. So, word of advice, pH your soil before you plant anything. Here's our butternut squash. We've got a little piece of string there, and we've got it trellising up, growing right up the string to get it on this piece of lattice material. There's our long-standing spinach. It's still going. We've picked this spinach, and I put these up for wind blocks. These are pieces of plexiglass to keep the wind from blowing in on the plants, about knocking them over. And if you look down there, we have our first tomato. So things are doing good. Just a little garden update video. And with any luck, Lord willing, we'll get some good vegetables this year. We'll keep you updated in future videos. If you like the videos, give us a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.